actually a study recently that found that young people, I don't remember the percentage, but quite significant, admired people with wealth, no matter how they acquired that. And we see how they're glorified. So it really is an issue of just what we perceive to be success, and then we say, okay, that is success, I want it no matter what it costs, because anyway everyone else is doing it, and even if they are caught, they'll be taken through all these corners, but no justice. So to his point, consequences, we are not seeing real consequences. We are hearing talk about them, but really at the end of the day it doesn't happen.
Yes, and that's where I would like to agree with him that the law has got to be effected. We have failed. This country has failed in effecting the law. So if that was worked on, that would be one way of getting out of this big mess. In as far as young people glorifying corruption and so on, it is, if you ask me, it is sickening. And we shouldn't be glorifying that. We shouldn't be highlighting that. We should actually be taking time to let these young people know that that which you're glorifying is not right. And it has nothing to do with Christian or not, or whether I'm religious or not. Ethics is purely that. It's about what is right and what is wrong. It is not pegged on religion. And that is what we need to bring up.
Right.
I look at what's the difference between young people today and young people, say, 50 or 60 years back? What's the difference between young graduates today and graduates of, for example, 40 years back? There's a big difference. But what is it that made the graduates then be who they were and respected that is not making the young graduates be the same? So we have failed somewhere. We need to effect the laws that are there. We have them on paper, but it begins and ends there.
Right. With the state of affairs, Mtata, and you have time and again moved to court and tried to fight some of these vices and get answers, and yet we appear not to be making much progress. What keeps you going? What is it you hope each and every you appear before a judge, or you are part, say, of a protest to be able to get your voice in there? What is it that keeps you going?
Well, I've achieved quite a bit in terms of deliverables. For example, one of the things that I dealt with successfully was 20 billion shillings, which was about to be stolen from the taxpayer through something called the Police Surveillance Command and Control System. We went to court and were able to stop it. And although the AG fought it very hard, I was happy when the Jubilee government, the president and the deputy president, talked about it as one of their achievements. Yet it was my achievement in court that really brought that tender down. So there are very many things that happen and we are able to achieve.
So it's not all doom and gloom?
No, there's not all doom and gloom. At least the judiciary to some extent works, and we achieve results from there. But still again, you'll find that some judges maybe get compromised, or they don't care what goes on, or they want to please somebody, and they'll do outrageous things. You talking of, I've been beaten up once for refusing to take a bribe to the drug case. I rushed to go to try and get, 2 days before I was beaten up, I went to court to try and get protection. The judge threw me out and I nearly got killed. And those things happen, but at the end of the day, it is that we must keep hope alive, and we must, for me, if we punish, if we can get some shock therapy. If we punish these big people, like right now, look at the UK. Somaya is in jail. What did he do here? And look at the people who did the chicken gate. They are in jail. They are not, there's nothing, they're not preaching any morality, they're not talking to them about anything. They're just saying, this is the law.
Follow it.
It's a live wire, you touch it, you are in trouble. You cross that red line, you are in trouble. So if you can put in place a system like that, I'm very sure this country can shape up overnight.
Yeah.
But if we don't, for as long as we mollycoddle thieves, this country is going to get nowhere. And that's why I keep on insisting that we must shift from the war on corruption which is about moralizing about corruption and complaining and Jeremites and all those, and come to the war on the corrupt. Say, you have done this, we are going to deal with you.
So for you, that would take what, a change in leadership? Is that what would achieve?
There's a change in attitude.
Okay.
President Uhuru, where he stands today, he has got enough power to have that change in attitude. The police reforms that we have been demanding affected, and you see what is happening is that they are clawing them back, because the whole problem was that for as long as the police is an extension of the executive, nothing is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because any policeman, as any human being, will look over his shoulder in fright. But if we can liberate the police from control by the political class, so that they operate the way they are trained in Kiganjo as a professional unit, I have no doubt that those people will be able to stamp out corruption in this country,
right,
and will be able to move this country forward. But for as long as there are no consequences, it's poetry.
Yeah.
Well, he's just given an example about the police forces. But why, if that were the case, I mean, the Ministry of Education is not directly under the executive. The Ministry of Health is not directly under the executive. And yet there's rot in those ministries.
But they're not being policed. You see, the problem is that they are all having godfathers. And I will tell you sometimes, some of us engage with you in the interaction with men, and they will tell you the frustration they go through dealing with some of these things.
Right.
Somebody will tell you, I've seen this. Some of the things we file in court, as for me, like the documents on the Kenya Railway, and what have you, and the fraud in the Kenya Railway, I was given by policemen,
right,
who felt helpless,
okay,
dealing with the corruption in the place.
Right.
So, and the issue is that they fear that they will be hammered. So to me, what I really believe is that we must fast track the police reforms. We must resist the attempt of the executive to claw back and put the police under their control.
right,
And if we can have a professional police force, even things like the anti-corruption, whatever, are unnecessary diversions on crime. This is a question of crime, and crime should be punished according to the law.
Muninzwa, let's hear from you, because you have articulated your position and what you think the issues are and what they're not, and what really the country should be doing at this particular point. From you, you said by saying we begin small, we begin at the, perhaps even family unit at that level.
Yes.
Yeah, so wind up for us with what the clear measures you see being put in place and being important at this time.
What we need, like I said earlier, we have commissions. We have EACC, we have devolution, and we have corruption. And for us to be able to fight corruption, we have to go back. There's no way we can strive to fight corruption without looking at it from a moral perspective. Right, we look at it from a juridical perspective. We look at it, it is also a legislative issue, right?
Yeah, yes.
But it is also an immoral thing. It is sinful. It is wrong. So we cannot downplay that at all. It's just that if you're taught not to lick sugar as a little baby, when you grow up, you will remember. And anytime you want sugar, you remember what your mother told you. It's little things that matter and that make a difference. If you're able to deal with the little things, you'll be able to deal with the bigger things. But for as long as we let the little things pass, for as long as we justify certain things, then we will be handicapped. We'll find it impossible to actually be able to deal with the bigger things. We'll have no authority to deal with that. That's my take, and that's what I tell people.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that parents are listening to this, and especially those who have been cited as having bought exam papers, for example, those who are working in health ministries, who are selling drugs, and we have poor people dying or not being able to get drugs from health facilities because someone has sold them. You know, it begins with that. Tomorrow, I'm a little person. Today, I'm a little person, but tomorrow I'll be a big man.
All right. Maximilia Muninzwa, who's an ethics and leadership consultant, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
You're
Unfortunately,
welcome.
our time is up. As well as Okiom Mtata, who's an activist on The Last Word, saying it as you see it. And finally, as we bring the show to a close now, Albert Einstein said, "The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch and do nothing. And you look at the country as we stand right now, from the government and all arms implicated in one time or another in graft. The president would argue, yes, he's fired his own cabinet at one point or the other, some ministers in his cabinet, and that he is fighting graft and he's talking about it. But definitely the country feels more needs to be done. The whip must be cracked. The big fish, as we like to call them, must be fried. People must be put behind bars that are found guilty of these corrupt practices. But also, as Munenzo has reminded us today, let us also not get caught up in just pointing fingers and saying it is them, it is them. We see corruption every day in our everyday lives, whether it's with the traffic offenses, giving a bribe to rush to your meeting, or whether it's paying some money to get your documents quickly processed. It begins there and then continues. It is something that must be tackled by all. All hands must be on deck, and that is the last word. Thank you for watching. I'm Sophia Wanuna. Good night.